Hi, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Ewan.
And this is
Popcorn and Cumin.
So pop that corn and get ready to talk about all things film, theater, and other. Welcome to Popcorn and Cumin. Today we're going to be talking about The Hunger Games, everyone's favorite YA trilogy.
Yeah, not a trilogy of movies though, a quadrilogy.
Is that the word?
I'm not sure. Trilogy plus one.
But we both read these books back when we were tweens. Teens?
Yeah.
Tweens?
Yeah. I remember reading this series in 2012, which I think was about the same time the first probably coming out.
I think I was a teen then, not even a tween. Well, I personally don't.
I was also reading it, for the record.
I remember that I quite liked these books, but it has been so long since I read them that now I feel like it's mainly the movies that I have sort of ingrained in my head.
Yeah, I think there's a possibility I've read the whole series twice through, to be honest. Because I remember really liking them.
Wow.
Yeah.
I probably have too.
Well, I'm just saying, as someone, I don't often revisit books, to be honest. So, I remember in the sort of zeitgeist stuff before the first movie came out, there was a lot of hype. I remember reading the first two books and thinking, wow, these are pretty good, and then thinking the third book was terrible. So I just have this really vivid memory of reading the last 50 pages of Mockingjay and then putting it down when I got to the last page and then being like, what just happened?
Yeah, I feel like for both the movies and the books, Hunger Games, very good. Catching Fire, very good. Mockingjay, okay.
Yeah. So Sarah has recently completed a marathon over many months of rewatching the original 4 Hunger Games movies, which I joined in midway through and watched.
Yeah, you joined for very random ones.
Well, just Mockingjay Part 1 and Part 2.
Oh, the worst ones.
Yeah. To be honest, and it's been quite a long time since I've watched the first 2 movies. I do remember thinking, I do like the second one. I thought it was kind of like the first one again, but there was a bit more like world building established and things, and that sort of appealed to me more. But I think on the flip side, you could quite easily look at it as we're just doing the first book again, but a little bit different with some little higher stakes.
Yeah, that is true. In sort of rewatching it, though, I almost think Catching Fire might be my favorite. I might like it even more than The Hunger Games. I mean, but the production quality also increases a lot once you get to the second one, so I don't know if that has anything to do with it.
Yeah.
But should we go through and talk about sort of each one?
Yeah.
Okay, Hunger Games.
So, for those who don't know, who have never heard of The Hunger Games...
Yes, and for the record, for this one, we're going straight into spoilers.
Yeah, you've had plenty of time to watch or read these pieces of fiction. So.
Well, and we're recording this episode in anticipation of the newest Hunger Games coming out how many years later?
I think they were wrapping up in like 2015 or 2016, so 7 years later. I think the book that this movie is based on came out during COVID.
Okay.
So clearly a lot of hype because I had no idea that it came out.
Yeah, me neither. Well, I mean, I knew more recently. Within, probably I've found out about it a year ago.
I've only found out the book was a thing when I had looked at like upcoming like movie releases, and Hunger Games prequel was there.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, like they're trying to cash in on this IP so long after the last one. That's a little strange, but there was.
Actually a book. Yeah, but it's kind of like the Hunger Games generation is now has grown up. Yeah. We're now kind of like actually young and middle adults.
Do you think this prequel is going to reflect that and have more dark and harrowing themes and things than the originals? Because I doubt that.
No, I don't. But I don't think that's what that's like what we want. Because if it's partially for nostalgic reasons, so you don't.
You're nostalgic for those kids getting slaughtered.
Well, yeah. I always had to kind of somewhat hide when I was reading these books because my mom hated the idea of kids killing each other. She didn't. I think that's why it took me longer than others to read The Hunger Games, because she did not want me to.
So I think that's a pretty good segue to the first movie. So the premise is that in a post-apocalyptic sort of world. Well, there is references to nuclear power, but it's not clear if it's like a post-nuclear apocalypse. But I believe it's set in North America.
It's set
Panem.
And I think it's supposed to be in Colorado.
Well, yeah, this is what my assumption was, because I thought my sort of background knowledge of the Hunger Games was that it's in and around, because I think that's near like the Rocky Mountains, correct?
Yeah.
Was that the 12 districts that you think at first are in Colorado, but I saw maps of Panem which were spanning the entirety of the United States of America, and I was making out the districts were like a couple of states combined. It's also kind of weird because some of the, I would say, less notable states are the ones like where the capital would be, and where districts 1 and 2, which are the more affluent and prominent states within the universe. So
this says this is Screen Rant. Says, whereas most of the nation of Panem resided across the United States, the boundaries spread north to Canada and south to areas in Mexico. That's much bigger than I thought it was.
Yeah.
I thought it was just supposed to be Colorado, just kind of a little...
Yeah, I think, to be honest, the bigger the scope is, it doesn't really work for me with like the world building. It seems more unbelievable that the capital would be able to exert the control that they do over the other districts if they're that spread apart geographically.
That's why Divergent is so good, because it's just Chicago.
Well, did we know it was Chicago originally in Divergent until the last movie? They decided to say Chicago as a replacement for the word "and," apparently, because they said it so much.
Well, from what I remember in the books, I think you don't find out that it's Chicago until they find out that it's an experiment and all of that.
Spoilers for the Divergent series. The Divergent series came out, I suppose, right sort of hot on the heels of the Hunger Games YA young adult taking the world by storm, releasing these young adult books with sort of edge to them. But Sarah was a fan of the Divergent books. I remember reading the first one and thinking it was mid, and never watching any of the movies. We've since watched the movies, and I think they're pretty poor. So
yeah, I don't know. I liked it when I was reading it when I was 13.
Mm-hmm.
I like the world building. It is quite similar sort of vibes to the Hunger Games, but, kind of like a less good version. But you have the same kind of thing where a new person comes into power and you think they're going to be better, and then you're like, oh no, they're just as bad, which is just kind of like President Coin and Snow.
Well, I think when you could compare the plot of the first Hunger Games book to the first Divergent feels very tropey and lame, I think, in comparison. It's just about, like, your main characters. I don't really fit in here or there, but actually I'm the chosen
I don't think you've even read the first Divergent.
I have read the first Divergent.
Well,
I've never seen the movie.
If anyone has recently read Fourth Wing, it was really I think that's what inspired me to watch It was really bringing me back to Divergent. It had those vibes, except more sex and swear words.
Fourth Wing is a new, not YA. What is the book terminology for it?
New adult?
Yeah, so not young adult, new adult. Which the difference is it's for people who haven't got over the young adult phase that they went through.
Babe.
They can then.
No, don't listen to him. Oh, goodness.
Back to the Hunger Games. So the premise is the United States of America has fallen apart, clearly, and of probably parts of Canada and Mexico from our previous discussion. And there's now a ruling entity or sort of area called the capital, which there had previously been a war between the capital and other areas of the United States, maybe when it was falling apart or something. And the capital, to basically exert its dominance over the other areas, has divided the other areas of Panem into these places called districts, and each district has a specific trade or sort of function associated with it. So is District 12 where Katniss is from coal mining or something?
That sounds right.
They definitely go into mines, but I think like District 1 is luxury goods, District 11 is farming, I think. District 4 is like fishing, District 3 is technology or something. And then the capital, as a way of sort of quelling rebellion, comes up with this great, bright idea to
Have kids kill each other.
host the Hunger Games, which is this big spectacle event which happens once a year where 2 children from each district are plucked from their beds.
A girl and a boy.
Okay, yeah.
No non-binary people exist, apparently.
No, well, yeah. Although the capital's got a lot of people who don't really conform to your heteronormative ideals, I would say. So
Yeah.
So they host the Hunger Games, where 24 children are basically plucked and put into a arena, which is then televised. It's like a couple-day event where there's, I guess, 24/7 coverage of the Hunger Games, where kids are thrust into an arena with weapons and beasties and other hazards and left to their own devices to kill each other. Last person standing wins, basically.
How do they film them? Because you never are the cameras hidden in the trees, or
Yeah, I think they're like birds and stuff have cameras in them and stuff, don't they? Or they have like microphones, don't they?
Oh.
They're also in like a big. Well, in the second one, they're in a big dome. Like they think they're outside, but they're not. So maybe like. I mean, they could just have...
they're in a dome. That's the arena.
Mm-hmm. So they could just have cameras in the ceiling and stuff as well.
That can see them through the trees?
Yeah. I mean, they have pretty good technology there. If someone can... If you can film a sports event or something with all these different angles, I'm sure you could do it with the one thing you do every year for entertainment.
Do you think the people of Panem see what we see when we're watching the movie? Are we just... the capital?
Yeah, although we're not cheering for the children to get killed.
Some of them we are.
Yeah, like Huey.
Yeah.
Jack Quaid, who's in The Boys, he plays Huey in The Boys, is in the first Hunger Games as one of the... What are the District 1, 2 kids called? They have like a specific name.
Yeah, I don't know. But doesn't he kill...
Rue.
Bad man.
So Katniss, our heroine, is from District 12, the mining district, and volunteers to be tribute. That's what the kids entered into the Hunger Games are called, the tributes. And she's entered into the games because her sister is basically chosen at random to be entered into the games, and she takes her place, which you're allowed to do. And then Peeta he's the other tribute from District 12. He just gets plucked in. But he has a crush on Katniss, as we learn.
Lucky Peeta.
Yeah.
The perfect opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, so Katniss is our heroine, and at least from what I remember of the first book, she's probably worth sort of exploring because you spend most of your time with Katniss. There's a lot of scenes, especially in the first book, where it's just her alone, just sort of getting by, hunting and surviving. Yeah. There's a scene where she's training with the other tributes, and she's like selected as like the number 1 best tribute or something like that, where she gets like a really high ranking and everyone's like surprised by it.
Yeah. Oh, that's because they're not paying attention to her, right? And then she shoots the apple out of the pig's mouth.
Yeah, and everyone's like, whoa. Yeah.
Classic moment. And then you see the next year in Catching Fire that they've now put up a barrier to stop
people doing that.
Yeah. Well, because of Katniss, basically, because they don't want people to shoot them.
Yeah.
It's surprising they hadn't installed that in the first place.
Yeah. Well, I think that sort of plays into the idea that the capital are completely, like, they seem to live in this little bubble where they think they're untouchable and don't have, which is kind of surprising because it's only, I think, 74 years from the big war. Like, I wouldn't have thought people would have become so lazy and complacent in that amount of time. There doesn't seem to be any sort of remnants of a society that could fight a war against his own people left in the capital, apart from the peacekeepers, which are like the police force / army.
Yeah.
Is it clear where they even come from? Are they members of the capital?
The peacekeepers?
Yeah. Are they plucked from the districts?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It might be similar to, the servants in the capital that have
boxes.
Yeah. Where do they come from again?
Where did I pull that knowledge from? I think they are like criminals. Or people, I think maybe they have their voices removed. Yeah. Because they have spoke out about the capital or something.
Okay. They probably wouldn't trust those people then to be in the army.
Yeah.
So they're probably, I'm guessing they're trained from birth. Isn't one of the districts defense?
Yeah, so maybe they're plucked from those districts 1 or 2 or something.
District 2 is masonry and defense, so maybe from District 2.
Yeah, I think District 1 and 2 are like the high seed ones. They're the where all the tributes they expect to win come from.
Or do they just make weapons? Masonry and defense, that seems random.
Yeah, maybe all their defenses like clay pots that they put hot coals in, like ancient Greek warfare or something. Well, do you want to talk a bit about Katniss, our heroine? I feel like there's not like an awful lot of characters to really discuss in the first one of note. I mean, there are.
What?
Well, you get characters.
Sweet Peeta.
Yeah, well, Peeta's just
his favorite color is orange, but not bright orange. Orange like the color of a sunset.
Like my hair?
Or is that Katniss's favorite color?
No, I think it's hers. No, it's Peeta's. Yeah.
Are you sure? Because doesn't Peeta ask her, what's your favorite color?
I don't. I think Peeta's favorite color is probably white after white bread, because he's the most white bread person.
No, not Sweet Peeta. No, I was right. It's Peeta's favorite color. Soft like the sunset.
Yeah. So there's this whole art or sort of storyline within it where Katniss and Peeta play up this star-crossed lovers idea where they act as if they're madly in love with each other as a way to win favor with the capital.
Yeah, well, because at first Peeta says that he's madly in love with a girl when he's talking to Caesar. Oh, gotta love Caesar.
Even though he's a capital dog.
No, well,
and he shows no signs.
By the end, I kind of thought, he would turn a little, like,
he was Effie Trinket.
Gain some morality, yeah, but he doesn't.
Too focused on his blue hair.
But Peeta says that he's in love with a girl, and then Caesar is all excited, trying to get the goss, and then Peeta says, well, she came along with me. And then everyone in the Capitol is upset because they know that Peeta and Katniss can't both survive.
Yeah.
And And at first, Katniss, she gets mad because she thinks that it makes her look weak. But then Mitch correctly points out that it makes her look more likable. That Sweet Peeta actually likes her.
Yeah. And she does probably need that assistance because she is likable in a sort of heroic, sort of stoic manner, but she doesn't have the most charismatic sort of personality. She's a bit dour.
Whereas Peeta is less feisty, but the most he can do is make himself look like a rock.
Yeah.
But he's got the charm.
Well, he gets some combat skills as we go. He's pretty good at strangling people. He throws people into tar and stuff.
Yeah.
He's not good at fighting his actual enemies, just his teammates, but...
Yeah, well, once he gets the brain
melting. But we're jumping ahead a little bit. So, basically Katniss is sort of on her own in the games. She thinks Peeta has not betrayed her, but it has teamed up with the other district's sort of high seed people, and they're all like hunting her. But Katniss is doing some guerrilla warfare using her street smarts, the times in District 12 hunting rabbits and deer to climb up trees, and I think she can sort of use first aid on herself, which is useful. What is, I think, a little bit disappointing is that I don't really feel like Katniss ever has any like hard decisions to ever make. For instance, she makes friends with Rue, who is like a little sweet innocent girl who's thrust into the games, and she sort of teams up with her for a bit, but she never has to kill Rue or do anything like that. She doesn't really ever have to make a like hard choice when it comes to like, killing someone. She only ever kills people in self-defense.
Not when it comes to killing someone, but when it comes to and also she does when she decides to kill Coin instead of Snow. And she has tough decisions in like when Peeta comes back from the Capitol all brainwashed in Mockingjay. There's some decisions that have to go with that. Should I approach him? Should I just let it be?
Yeah, I just mean in the sort of life and death scenario of the games, I don't feel like she ever actually has to make any like really challenging decisions. She just sort of manages to
But she does because she chooses not to kill good people. Just because she doesn't kill good people, that's her still making a choice not to do that. Like at the end of the first Hunger Games, she could have killed Peeta, but instead she said we'll both take these berries. And if the Capitol didn't interfere, then that would have been a tough decision in her deciding that she would rather die than kill a good person.
But she's always had that sort of melancholic, sort of, I think, meandering sort of personality where I think at times, I don't think her sacrifice or sort of sacrificial personality where she's willing to put herself in harm's way. I think often it kind of seems because she doesn't really care if she lives anymore. She's sort of lost her lust for life, which is why she goes on the suicide mission in the last book.
But I think that she is put into situations where she would have to make tough decisions, but she uses her brain to get her out of it. Like, she just outsmarts Snow and outsmarts the Capitol. Like, Snow constantly is trying to make her make these hard decisions and, kill good people or whatever, but then she outsmarts him.
Does she consciously outsmart him in the first one, or is that more just sort of a byproduct of, like, they don't do their little suicide pact with the idea that they're going to call the games off, right? They're like,
I think that they think that will happen. I think in her mind she's thinking that the Capitol has to have a victor, because that's part of the games. That's part of Snow's whole thing, and I think that's actually what's the game master for the first one?
Seneca Crane.
Yeah, I think that's
the weirdest beard in the world.
Is that what he says? Somebody says the games have to have a winner, or the Capitol has to have a winner or something to give the people to have them still have hope. So I think that she does think that they'll call it off, and that if they don't, well, she doesn't care anymore.
Yeah, that might be the case. Like, you've watched the movie more recently than me. I feel like when I remember reading the book, it was more a sort of twist ending where she's surprised. Like, you think they're about to die, and then there's a sort of thing that comes over the tannoy that's like, don't do it, you both win. And then they're like, all right, and then they sort of quickly drop the nightlock berries they have in their hands.
Yeah, I feel like in the movie, one of them, it's Katniss's idea, right? And she says,
that's what I mean. She's gone all melancholic. She just
but I feel like she says, like, just trust me or something, like, before.
Yeah. Because
she thinks that it's going to get called off. I don't think she would say, just trust me, you're going to die and it's going to be great.
I don't know.
Okay, anyway, I think we should move on to Catching Fire.
Yeah. So Catching Fire, the premise is that they basically do the Hunger Games again because Suzanne Collins didn't have any other ideas.
Okay, well, first of all, the quarter quell thing is kind of weird. Like, why do they do it every quarter?
What does quell mean? Is that a word outside of the Hunger Games?
I don't know, like a melee?
Yeah.
Brawl?
You're just naming names of Super Smash Brothers games. 64?
Is that a Super Smash?
Yeah, I think that's the first one, because of the Nintendo 64.
Well, everyone knows Melee is the best.
Yeah. Well, I think that was the overriding opinion for a long time, especially up until Brawl came. Or after Brawl came out, Melee was still preferred at gaming competitions.
That's still my preferred
Nerd
one.
fact. Yeah. That's because you never opened your mind up to any others.
Anyway, the quarter quell, why didn't they just do a 50-year celebration?
They did.
Yeah, but it was the second quarter quell. Well, it wasn't like a 50th.
A quarter of a century comes around quicker than a half century, so they can do more big celebrations.
Yeah, but it feels like after the first quarter quell, then you would just kind of move on and be like, now it's the 50th.
Do we know what they did for the 50th and the 25th ones?
I feel like, isn't the movie that's coming out, doesn't it have something to do with the first quarter quell?
No, I thought it was the 12th Hunger Games.
I think Haymitch was in the first quarter, the second quarter
50
quell.
years. He would have been really old. He doesn't look that old. I think maybe one of them, it's like a twice as big game, like they have.
No, Haymitch is definitely in a quarter quell.
Well, maybe the second one then.
I'm looking it up. You keep talking.
Okay. So the Capitol, after Peeta and Katniss survived the Hunger Games they entered, President Snow, Donald Sutherland, is real miffed because he feels like two little kiddos of... That's what I said, 50th Hunger Games.
Yeah, well, I was right.
Okay, well, we were both right. You said 25th originally.
He was in the second quarter quell.
Yeah.
AKA the first half-century brawl.
Nice. Well, I guess you were right.
The 50th fight. The 50th fight.
Yeah. So there's Coriolanus, whatever his name is, Snow,
I'm sorry,
the president.
who?
Corey Snow. He's all mad. The districts are going to rise up maybe because they've got too much hope. There has to be hope from a winner, but two winners means too much hope. That's twice the hope than they had before.
Yeah. Well, and part of it is that he doesn't believe that Katniss, because he thinks that if Katniss and Peeta are really in love, that they can sell the star-crossed lovers thing. And if the Capitol believes that, then they'll be happy with that. Mm-hmm. But Snow doesn't believe it. Mm-hmm. He thinks... Which on Katniss's part, it is a bit of an act. Mm-hmm. And
maybe Peeta a little bit, I think.
I don't think so.
I think he does love her, but I feel like he sort of knows that she doesn't really love him in the same way. So he's kind of, I don't know, I always got that sort of sense from Josh Hutcherson's performance that he was conflicted about his feelings. Or maybe he's just happy as Larry, he's just loving it. He's like, she has no choice but to reciprocate this love that she doesn't feel for me. I'm buzzing with that.
No, I think he's a sad boy.
Yeah.
Sad boy deep down, especially when he sees her and Gale together.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about Gale.
Well, we don't even talk about him yet.
Yeah. So his bright idea, Snow's, is we can't let the districts get too happy. All of these champions that they have loved from previous Hunger Games, guess what? They're all going in another Hunger Games. They all have to fight to the death, and then all these people you look up to and are happy with and stuff, most of them are going to die because they're getting entered into a big old games.
To be fair, that scene when you find that out, I mean, Jennifer Lawrence's performance in that scene is very good. Like, I don't know, that's quite a heartbreaking scene.
Yeah, no, she does a really good job through all of the movies, I think.
And you just feel, because she finally got out of this horrible situation, and you just feel her horror, and she's already got PTSD, and now she has to do it all again, and everyone, even at the Capitol, you know, during the first Hunger Games, Effie and everyone is kind of like, congratulations, but this time everyone is just really sad for her, and everyone, I think Effie says like, oh, I'm so sorry, and it's so sad.
Yeah, so I think they know now that she's got basically no chance of surviving.
Yeah, because she's up against
all the best
crazy
fighters, and they probably think that Snow's going to do everything he can to make sure they definitely get killed in the games.
Oh, it is no good. But then we get one of the best moments in cinematic history.
Go on. I'm waiting to hear what this is.
When Peeta is talking to Caesar, and then he goes, if it wasn't for the baby, and everyone goes nuts.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
Peeta cons the Capitol into thinking that him and Katniss are expecting a child.
Yeah. Which then makes
Katniss mad at him again.
Is she? No, I don't think she is. I think everyone's like, well...
Good idea, Peeta.
Yeah, Haymitch is like, genius.
Yeah.
I think then that makes, you know, the Capitol feel bad because it's not only Katniss's life. So now, I mean, they should have felt bad in the first place, but now they're feeling... Like, I feel like it makes people feel worse about the Hunger Games.
Yeah, which is pretty stupid because they have been cheering for the slaughter of children for 75 years, so what's one more?
Yeah, but once it's in the womb, then it's really a child.
Yeah, that's maybe sort of insight into political discourse with this discussion. But...
Yes. So anyway, they're sowing the seeds of dissent, even among the Capitol elites.
Mm-hmm.
But then, so then all the tributes hold hands, and then the Capitol people start booing them, and then they like shut all the lights off.
Yeah.
Which, that was also a great scene, I think. Oh, The Catching Fire is such a good movie.
Mm-hmm. But this is all the stuff pre-games. I guess you get a bit more of the sort of world building of the world outside of the games in Catching Fire.
Yeah. But I think The Hunger Games is one of the best YA adaptations of a series. Maybe just one of the best film adaptations of a book series.
Well, they have a lot of good actors, and I feel like the concepts in it, compared to My Beloved Chaos Walking, there's nothing that's too difficult, you would think, on the face of it to do from book to screen.
I hope that they try maybe again
that's
someday.
That's scorched there.
I don't know if anyone else watched the Chaos Walking movie, but it was just so sad.
Yeah. Sad and bad.
It's Ewan's favorite book series, and it was just cinematically destroyed.
Atrocious. You just feel bad for everyone involved.
Especially Nick Jonas.
Actually, I take it back. I didn't feel bad for everyone involved.
It's so weird because it had an amazing... Well, like, it had a lot of famous people in it.
Yeah.
And it did so badly, and it...
Well, it sounded like it went through developmental hell, which is never a good sign. If a movie ever has to do reshoots, it's a bad sign. If it has to do extensive reshoots, it's a very bad sign.
Well, and I mean, we're not here to talk about this, but they tried to crush a trilogy into one movie, but it felt like they just did the first book until like the last 10 minutes, and then they were like, oh, we have to wrap up this entire thing.
Yeah.
Like,
just like if you're writing a story under exam conditions, you're like, oh wait, the exam finishes in 5 minutes, quick, and then everyone died, the end.
Yeah. Yeah, they managed to fit in the part where their dog died, though. Great. But anyway, back to Catching Fire. One of the best YA adaptations.
Yeah.
Now, oh my gosh, we have so many great scenes all in a row. Because after this great scene, then they're going into the games.
What about the elevator bit when one of the characters gets naked? That was a pretty good scene.
Oh, yeah, Joanna?
Yeah, Johanna.
Johanna?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty funny. That is one scene where Jennifer Lawrence, maybe, it's the only part where I think her acting is a little
ropey.
A little over the top, but it is quite funny, I suppose. But Peeta, I don't think Peeta would be looking at her. No, I think he only has eyes for Katniss. So doesn't do him justice in that. But then we have the big moment, the aspect ratio change.
Oh god. Yeah. I thought you were gonna say when Katniss's stylist and sort of friend and confidant Cinna gets beaten to death when she's
oh my gosh, that's
right before
sad.
The aspect change, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so much is hitting you all at once.
Like the aspect ratio.
Yeah, you're like, wait a minute, we were watching this and the film, it was long and thin, and now it fills the whole screen. What just happened? It is, yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I think someone thought that they were a genius for that.
Yeah.
But I dig it.
Yeah.
If you don't know what we're talking about, I don't know the exact aspect ratios, but for
probably 16:9 and 4:3. Those are the standard ones, aren't they?
For film?
I think so.
Okay, but anyway, it's a skinny, maybe, what did you say?
4:3.
No, the first one.
16:9.
Maybe 16:9, cinematic, widescreen ratio.
Yeah.
And then as Katniss raises up into the arena of the Hunger Games, as she raises up, the screen also extends to fill the entire screen to make it full screen. And so then once she lands in the arena, we're now in full screen. What do you think that's trying to say? Or you think it just looks cool? That
the games are beginning. That's what it's trying to say. I mean, I guess it's maybe about, I don't know, the characters now they have a much more sort of sensory landscape of things they have to focus on because they're going into a combat situation.
Yeah. Well, it's actually quite weird because in my publishing course, when we were learning about picture books, in sort of illustration theory and such, when you have framed images, it's supposed to represent the characters being trapped. And when you have images that fill the full page, then that's supposed to be representing freedom. Like in the Wild Things Are, the frames slowly get sort of bigger and bigger and extend until he's in the place where the Wild Things are and he's sort of free. And then the illustration covers the whole page. But it seems to be kind of the opposite for some reason, where...
Well, they're trapped already, but I know what you mean, yeah.
But they're like,
kind of going into
when they're physically trapped, then it extends to the edges. Maybe they didn't take a publishing
an
illustration theory course. But yeah, I like that part. That part's good.
Yeah. And I suppose the actual stuff in the Hunger Games within Catching Fire, within the games, there's a bit more of a kind of Katniss and Peeta sort of team up quicker, and then they find their other sort of allies.
Tick-tock.
Yeah, they don't really know their allies in the games, and then they help each other sort of survive the tournament for a while, although people do. I mean, that old woman gets killed, Mags or something.
Yeah, sweet Mags.
Yeah, but she'd lived a good old life, died in a horrific way. So.
If she was in the Hunger Games, she probably didn't live that good of a life. She probably lived a life full of PTSD. And honestly, life seems like it sucks in the districts, regardless.
That's life. So some of their allies get killed, some of them don't, and then they bust out. They're like, we need to hatch a plan. Now again, Katniss doesn't really know anything about this. She's sort of being...
Neither does Peeta.
No, but...
Right?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think Peeta does either.
Yeah, and you don't in the book either. I think. What do you think they're doing? They're trying to like destroy some. I don't know.
Well, no. The plan is that people are supposed to help Katniss survive at all costs.
Because she's the Mockingjay.
Yeah, because she represents sort of the revolution. And the people behind the revolution have somehow plotted with all the other contestants. Maybe not all of them, because I think some of them probably aren't in on this and want to just kill her. But you see, in the movie, you see, I think 2 people, kind of like random people, sacrifice. Well, Mads does. And then you see another random person like jump out and sacrifice himself for Peeta. So I think they're trying to save both of them.
I think, again, they're sort of thinking that if Peeta dies... Doesn't Katniss say to Haymitch or something that Peeta has to survive at all costs?
Yeah, I think both Katniss and Peeta separately go to Haymitch and say...
I survive at all costs.
No. Say the other one survives at all costs. But really, there's a plan to try to get both of them to survive.
Well, I think they're trying to protect Peeta because they think that Katniss will get, like, she won't support them if they let him die.
Yeah.
Because she'll go all melancholy and probably just walk into the mist.
Yeah.
So then, for some reason, Katniss and Peeta manage to get involved within a plan to do something within the games, but they don't actually understand what's actually happening, and they both get knocked out, and then they somehow manage to destroy the whole Hunger Games arena.
No, they're trying to electrocute everyone else.
She shoots a lightning bolt or something.
Well, then Finnick says, like, remember, because she's about to shoot Finnick. She thinks that Finnick has just killed Peeta, and then Finnick says, remember who the real enemy is, because Katniss is confused and is about to shoot him. And then she suddenly comes up with this genius, stupid idea because they know when the lightning is going to hit this big tree, to perfectly time her arrow so that the power of the lightning shoots up with her arrow and it hits into the force field. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
And then it just like destroys the arena. And then she is airlifted out of there. But that's why it's like... Yeah,
like a helicopter or some sort of omnithopter or something flies in.
But was it just... I don't understand, because the plan... I don't think the plan was to destroy the force field with what they were doing, because how would what they were doing destroy the force field?
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, it worked out.
Yeah, they fly in, they get Katniss.
Well, it kind of worked out.
I think
they don't get Peeta.
Well, I don't think they really care about that.
Yeah, they do, because he's now with the Capitol.
Oh, yeah. I think, doesn't someone say maybe like they'd rather him have like died than like end up with the Capitol or something?
Probably.
I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, they get Katniss out, and then they're like, Katniss, by the way, here comes the big cliffhanger. Peeta, the Capitol have him now. Oh wait, here's another big cliffhanger ending. Gale, Katniss's other sort of love interest, I guess, is like, we need to go back to District 12, Gale. And he's like, no, they've destroyed District 12.
Yeah.
Dun dun dun.
Is that how it ends? Or do they mention District 13 yet? Or no?
Oh, yeah. And then there's another cliffhanger. And they're like, we need to go instead to District 13. And you at this point only think there are 12 districts. And then they're like, see you in the next Hunger Games, everyone. Dun dun dun.
But it ends with a sort of slow zoom in on Katniss's face as her confusion and anger.
13.
No. But it ends with her kind of just like looking angrily at the camera, and then it goes black.
Yeah.
And then we get into a movie that no one cares about.
No, I mean...
Mockingjay Part 1.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's okay. It's all right. I don't think Mockingjay, the book, is any longer than the first Hunger Games or Catching Fire. So when I was watching Part 1, I wasn't ever thinking... Well, you could have cut this, you could have cut this consciously. I mean, maybe if I was watching it with a fine-tooth comb, I could have gone about it in that way, but I just don't really understand how they managed to make 2 movies from a book. One, the weakest source material of the trilogy.
Yeah.
And also, like, there's just a lot of more boring stuff where it's just people like, sitting around waiting for, like, attacks to happen.
Yeah, well, it's... all that happens in it is just like, oh, Katniss, you have to be the Mockingjay. Oh, I don't know, I don't have any people skills. Look at me, I'm so not charismatic. Oh, we'll just put you in a literal battle, and then, oh, look, now you're charismatic again, and now you're the Mockingjay.
Yeah,
and
I don't like you, Julianne Moore.
Which one's that?
Coin.
Oh. She does sing that song at one point.
The Hanging Tree one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you hear your notes for Catching Fire, Sarah?
Oh yeah, I got all of them.
Okay, nice. Look at us broadcasting without even having to check our notes. We're ticking things off.
But I think the Hanging Tree song, I think there's something with that in the new movie, in the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
Yeah.
Like, I think that it has some connection to President Snow.
Everything has to be linked.
Because I don't
If there's one thing we learned from the Fantastic Beasts movies, in a prequel, everything has to be linked.
So I think that song is going to get a reprise.
Yeah. You know that song's originally by the band Queens of the Stone Age?
Really?
No. But they do have a song called Hanging Tree.
Oh, that's nice.
There you go. There you go, everyone. That'll come in handy at your next pub quiz trivia.
All right.
Part 1 ends on a cliffhanger where they managed to rescue him from the capital, but he's been brainwashed and then he wants to try and kill Katniss.
He's gone yumpy.
Yeah, exactly. As a great man once said.
That great man is Uncle Vernon. Is that all for Mockingjay Part 1?
I guess they're sort of sowing the seeds of President Coin not being great.
Alright, so in Part 2...
the grand finale.
They, go... Mostly what I remember. To be honest, I don't remember much from either Part 1 or Part 2.
We just watched Part 2.
I know, I remember more from Part 2. They're going into the capital, which is filled with booby traps.
Mm-hmm. Katniss isn't meant to be going. She just decided she's gonna go.
Yeah, it's a mission,
grand,
but then...
melancholic gesture.
No, but then Katniss has an alternative mission.
To kill Snow.
Yeah, who tells her to do that?
No, I think she wants to.
Someone else is in on it. Because then when that guy dies...
Boggs?
No. The sort of general guy.
Yeah, Boggs.
Okay, so Boggs, when he dies, he says something like, I know what your real mission is. Do it or something.
But they're trying to storm the cap. Coin will get brought to justice anyway, won't he? I mean, I don't really...
Snow.
Yeah. Is that what I said?
You said Coin.
No.
So will she?
But if their plan is to invade the capital and take it down, I don't even understand. It's more seems like Katniss has got a revenge pact. It's I have to be the one to kill it, as opposed to being I need to make sure he gets brought to justice because they're taking down the capital anyway.
Well, she's a flawed character.
Mm-hmm.
She's not perfect.
We should say that what's happening is that District 13 is a hidden district which was forced to go off the map for the past 75 years and didn't participate in the Hunger Games because prior to the first Hunger Games there'd been a war between the capital and the other districts. Did everyone else just forget that District 13 existed or something? Oh no, they think it's been destroyed.
Yeah, because it was bombed. Wasn't it atomic bomb?
Well, they have nuclear weapons, I think, so they had to make out that the capital used atomic weapons on it. But
just like in Divergent.
Yeah, exactly.
Except there's no radiation poisoning, I guess?
But I don't think they actually was bombed.
No, it is. They're underground.
But I think that's so they don't get spotted.
We did just watch this movie and neither of us can remember.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I feel like I've read the books, I've watched the movies multiple times, and it's still all of the sort of war stuff in Mockingjay just kind of goes in one ear and out the other. I don't know. I just don't really care.
Why aren't they doing the Hunger Games again?
Yeah, let's get some more kids killing.
It does feel like quite a departure from the first two. Now that might just be because the first two are very similar.
Yeah, but it feels like sometimes with YA sci-fi dystopia that the world building is quite good, but then it's hard once you build the world to have an ending that will be satisfying because you've put everyone in such a shit position that how can you get your characters a satisfying ending?
Yeah, I'm kind of conflicted how I feel about it because I think, in one hand, I'm thinking it's because the Hunger Games sort of relies on the sort of premise of it's kids killing kids or whatever. That's a sort of hook. And then as soon as they got away from that, you're like, this isn't what I was really into anymore. Then on the other hand, I do actually quite like the world building they set up in the first one. So I don't really understand why I feel like it doesn't work without the games in the same way.
In the first one, in the Hunger Games, you like the world building?
In all of them.
Okay.
I like the outside world and the idea of the capital. I mean, it seems like a little bit trite that there's this society of the rich that somehow managed to live this complete life of affluence with no consequences, but whatever.
Yeah, imagine that happening.
They do get what's coming to them eventually.
Yeah, then all their kids die.
Yeah, they go on this little suicide mission in Mockingjay Part 2. For some reason they let Peeta go along even though he's gone crazy, which is just mental.
Yeah.
Well, actually that's Coin's grand plan, I guess.
Yeah, but what is the grand plan there?
That she hopes Peeta
kills Katniss?
Yeah.
Really?
Or something like that, yeah.
Interesting. Are they going into the capital or is it just outside the capital? It's in the capital.
They're going into the capital. Yeah.
And it's all booby trapped.
They've made it another Hunger Games, everyone.
Yeah, it's like the Hunger Games arena. And somehow they have a holographic map of where all the booby traps are, but not actually all. Some of them aren't on there. But how did they get
I think they have spies.
This map?
They have spies on the inside.
Is it like in Star Wars? when they're like, we just went on a mission and we have the plans of the Death Star.
Yeah.
And then we're going to get a prequel about how they went on that
Well, that
mission.
wasn't the plan at the time. When they
that
made
was
the first
that was
Star
just
Wars.
easy storytelling.
Good old Disney.
Somehow
Disney Star Wars.
Palpatine returned.
Yeah, well, that's another Disney Star Wars edition.
The first instance wasn't Disney when they just somehow got the Death Star plans.
But it opens up on that. Like, I don't really have a problem with that. We don't need to go into this right now.
But that's what I'm saying for how it seems quite convenient that they just so happen to have a map of where all the obstacles are. How would you get that map?
Well, I think someone gets, I don't know, they download it from a mainframe, but I think their spies either are actually triple agents or something because their map isn't accurate, or the Capitol realizes they've got that map, so they change things up, so it's not accurate.
Okay, so once they get through all the booby traps, let's skip ahead.
Peeta kills someone at one point.
Yeah, that's true. And then he regrets it though, so it's okay.
Yeah.
There's still a little bit.
He has a sort of psychotic breakdown and becomes evil Peeta again. Dark Peeta.
Yeah, we've got two sides of Peeta in this.
Mm-hmm.
No good. So then, mission was successful?
Well, I don't really understand what their little squad actually accomplishes. Like, they get to, like, Snow's mansion, but then the District 13 people just fly in anyway. It's like the Eagles come in at the end of Lord of the Rings.
Well, so first we have to pay tribute to Sweet Finnick.
Yeah.
No, that's sad.
It's his own fault. He had no reason.
God.
Well, he didn't have any reason to go on that mission. It's the same with Katniss. He just went along to, like, protect Katniss, and Katniss didn't even need to be there either.
Him and Annie were finally together.
As soon as Finnick saw that Peeta was coming along, he should have been like, I'm out. This is stupid.
Yeah.
This whole plan doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, not a lot of common sense.
And yeah, him and Annie are finally together. Just be like, all right, I've fought enough battles. Just chill out, you know?
So wait a minute. So when Gale and Katniss have their hoods up and are walking towards the gates, is that after the mission?
No.
Okay. What?
I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. What is their mission?
They're trying to get in and kill Snow. So Katniss and Gale are in very bad disguises. They just have hoods up. Walking towards the gates where they're letting Capitol civilians, well, supposedly, they're telling Capitol citizens that they're going to let them into Snow's mansion so that they're protected from the incoming rebels. I don't know what you would call them. And then they say, pass all the kids forward. Pass all the kids forward. It's like in the Titanic. Kiddos and women first, but just the kiddos, not the women. And then the kids get to the front, Capitol planes fly over and drop parachutes, and all these Capitol people are like, oh my god, presents! Like, what idiots.
Yeah, they are stupid.
And then all the kids get exploded. And then Prim, this is where I get very confused. Because the rebel, is that what they're called? The rebels? The rebel medics come in to help the Capitol people, and then another plane comes over and bombs the medics.
I think some of the crates have bombs that they think are they're aid.
Okay, yeah. Why are the rebel medics there?
I don't know, trying to do good things.
But if they're the rebel medics surrounded by these Capitol guards, wouldn't the guards just arrest?
Yeah, I can't really remember. I was confused at the time, and then I sort of rethought about it, and it did make sense at the time when I had all the information in front of me. But when you're thinking back on it, it's not really clear why Katniss' sister is just suddenly there.
It's because it's Gale's
plan. Well, Gale, despite having been a little hunter-gatherer man his whole life, is somehow well skilled in both the acts of bomb making and war crimes. So he comes up with his grand plan. He's like, let's have two bombs. We have the first bomb that goes off, and then when all the medics rush in to help the wounded, we have a second bomb that goes off that kills all the medics.
Yeah.
It's genius. And I think Candace hears him talking about that, right?
Yeah, well, so then that's why...
And she's like...
She blames him for...
Was it one of your bombs that killed my sister? He's like, might have been. Don't know.
Yeah.
I guess. Could have been.
Yeah, and this is the point where we all know that this whole time, when we were arguing Team Peeta or Team Gale, we know that we were all meant the whole time to be Team Peeta.
Yeah.
That was the author telling us.
Can I just say, one, if you got really caught up in that was foolish.
Babe.
Because Gale doesn't have... He's clearly not the choice, right? He's like not in the
No,
story.
that is true.
He's not in the story enough.
Yeah.
The whole story is about her and Peeta. Gale's just like there.
Yeah. Well, I only know one person who is Team Gale, and she just likes an underdog.
But Peeta is the underdog. That's the whole point.
The underdog in the person that people are not team. So, for example, she would be Team Jacob. She would be Team Jeremiah in The Summer I Turned Pretty.
Well, I have no context to what that could possibly mean, to be honest. I always just thought that, for like, at least in Twilight, Jacob and Edward have like Edward is still clearly like the main love interest, but at least, I mean, he's not even in really the second book, and it's all about her and
well,
and
a lot of I think more people were Team Jacob at the time than they were Team Edward. People just didn't like Edward.
Yeah, too sparkly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the story in the Hunger Games is obviously like the romance side of it or whatever is part of the story, but the actual narrative, I think, is more compelling than to just be like boiled down into this Team Peeta or Team Gale type of dialogue, especially when the book isn't like about that really at all. Katniss is never like, oh, I just don't know who to choose between Peeta or Gale. You've got other things to worry about, right?
So are you Team Peeta or Team Gale?
I'm not really Team either. I mean, by the end, Katniss and Peeta end up together, but it's like
you have to choose. Just choose.
Well, Gale kind of sucks, doesn't he?
So?
Well, Peeta,
say it.
Peeta's kind of like I say, he's kind of like white bread. He's just kind of boring.
You're just saying that because he's a baker.
Yeah, he has the warm heart of a baker.
See? Warm heart. So you're Team...
Yeah, apart from when he's going all psycho mode. I guess I'm Team... Because
say it louder.
You're meant to be. There's no... I mean, the resolution you get is they end up together, Peeta and Katniss, but it's not like this sort of happy-go-lucky. He's like, oh, I'm so glad I chose you or whatever. It's just like, well, we've had a horrible couple of years, haven't we? And we've ended up together. My sister's dead. Your family is dead, Peeta. It's not great.
Yeah, not the...
Peeta's probably like, well, if you were Team Peeta, not Team Gale this whole time, maybe your sister'd still be alive. Gale wouldn't have got that confidence after that kiss to make that bomb.
Well, yeah, and we are clearly supposed to be Team Peeta because the last scene is Katniss and Peeta with their children.
Yeah. So all you Team Gale people out there, you're losers. How does it feel to be a loser?
Molly. Final line of the movie is...
Well, we skipped the actual resolution where they got into the Capitol. We have, well, again, when we were talking about like sort of Katniss's agency, a scene that I really hate where Katniss confronts Snow, and Snow basically tells her what's like the most blatantly obvious thing in the whole world, where he's like, by the way, Katniss, I might be bad, but you want to have a look at that coin over there? She's not so good either. And then she's sort of like staring at him like, I think I know what you're talking about, Mr. Snow. I think I know.
Oh, yeah. And also, this is the part where Snow's just like hanging out in this super nice greenhouse full of white roses. Or why are they not... He's a prisoner. Put him in prison.
Yeah.
Why does he get to still live his life of luxury before his death?
I mean, I think he's under house arrest, but yeah. I mean, maybe they're like, yeah, to be fair, we treat our vanquished foes with respect here. We treat you with some respect. However, the Capitol's children, they're going to the Hunger Games, Mr. Snow.
Yeah.
So
I
hope you're happy with that outcome.
I don't know. There was a part of me that was like, yeah, put their kids in the Hunger Games.
What? God, surely no. I mean, if you're going to do any sort of Hunger Games, surely the idea is put them in the Hunger Games.
Yeah. And that's actually... That's what I meant.
Okay.
And that's what I thought that they were getting at when they were saying that. That would be a nice little revenge thing because they're the ones, like, give them a taste of their own medicine. Not put their kids in. I never said that.
Okay. You're on the record. Oh, dear. And then Katniss is like, thanks for that pep talk, Snow. You're right. I'm going to ask to execute you in front of all these people, but instead I'm going to shoot coin because you're both two sides of the same coin.
But to be fair, Snow kind of screws himself over with that because once Katniss shoots coin, then the crowd comes forward to like
rip him apart
and dismember him. Yeah. Which I would say is probably a worse death than being shot with an arrow.
Yeah, unlucky Snow. You didn't get everything your own way.
Yeah, but he had like a little bit of satisfaction, I guess, before he died, knowing that he could still control Katniss, kind of.
I mean, maybe that's meant to be sort of dramatic irony in the book, where even at the end he sort of wins a little bit. But I just thought, Katniss, you should be in a position where you want to kill Coin because she clearly is trying to kill you.
Yeah.
You know, she's clearly been using you in like a sort of nefarious way this whole time.
And because she's threatened by her.
You already had a scene where she just argued for having another Hunger Games with people's kids. Surely you're not in favor of that. Candace does vote in favor of that because she wants to shoot her. And that's the only way she can get it. Or she bargains by saying, I'll vote in favor if I get to kill Snow.
And lovely Haymitch just trusts her enough because he can see the plan brewing in her eyes, and so he goes along with her.
Yeah, we haven't really talked that much about Haymitch. I do really like his character. I feel like his backstory is pretty cool, and I like his sort of relationship.
What's his backstory?
That he's a Hunger Games survivor and then becomes an alcoholic. But I just think his character is pretty interesting. And I remember like reading in one of the books where you like find out about his games where he's describing what happens. I think he's drunk or something, and he's saying what happens, and it was quite like illuminating. I remember liking that part of the story.
He uses the force field.
Yeah, he uses the Force.
Yeah. Is he in the new movie, or is
No.
it before his time?
Yeah, I think he'd be. Yeah, I don't think he'd be born.
How old is Snow?
I think he's about 80 or 90.
So what year is this new one taking place?
I think it's like the 12th. That's my bold prediction.
Snow must be ancient.
Yeah, I mean he looks pretty old, doesn't he?
Oh yeah, and he is ill. Oh, but that's because he's been poisoning himself, isn't it?
Yeah, he keeps doing political assassinations of people, which seems kind of unbelievable because it doesn't seem to be like any sort of challenge to his power within the capital, but whatever. And it doesn't really seem like they're the type of people who's having open and free elections or anything. But apparently Snow has been poisoning his political opponents for years by basically making them tea or something with a deadly poison in it. But then he also drinks a bit of it.
It's like Wesley in The Princess Bride, where he's been slowly poisoning himself to build up a tolerance. So then...
It's genius.
Then he poisons both cups.
Yeah.
And Vizzini?
I'm not sure, but yeah.
Then he dies, and then she's like, I thought you put the poison in your cup. And he's like, there was poison
cups.
in both.
Absolute genius.
Yeah, just like Snow. 2 peas in a pod.
Yeah. So the new movie is a prequel where Snow, is he a game maker or something?
I think he's a mentor.
Okay. So he's mentoring, I think, a District 12 tribute played by the woman from Wesley's Story, the new one. And she is maybe from District 12?
Yeah, she's from District 12. And Snow is her mentor.
In the games. It sounds like, so it's the 10th games we just confirmed.
Yeah.
And it sounds like this is the first year where they're introducing the mentors to try and make the games more of a sort of spectacle.
Yeah. So I think... what I've heard, we're acting like we're predicting the future. A book has come out about this, but
no
neither
one
of us
else
have read
knows how the story goes.
But I think what I've heard is that it's like the first 9 Hunger Games. It's sort of been like something that they do, but even in the capital, people are kind of like, this is kind of just icky. It's kind of just like a gross little thing that we do. But now this is the first year where they're turning it into, a spectacle, a big televised event.
Although from the trailer, it looks really like rustic and urban. It kind of looks like
it's the first time they're trying to do this.
Yeah, it kind of looks like playing like Call of Duty Modern Warfare, where everything's like washed out and brown and yellow and stuff. It doesn't really look that appealing in an aesthetic sense. Are you excited for The Hunger Games, The Ballad of
I am. It seems like a weird story to tell. Like, why not just tell Haymitch's story or something? But...
well, we already know that.
I guess because then we know how it ends.
Yeah.
But we know how this ends.
To some extent. I don't know what happens to Lucy Gray Baird.
I don't know. It's just, if you knew that there was a prequel being made, would you want it to be about Snow?
No. I don't really want a prequel to The Hunger Games, full stop.
No, I'm excited.
I wouldn't mind one that was like pre-Panem forming in the capital and stuff.
About
sort of
just
like
a war movie?
No, it doesn't have to necessarily be like that, but I don't know, just something that is about how the world got into that sort of state or something.
Yeah, like how the first Hunger Games came to be.
But again, it's what we're talking about. I feel like the IP should be strong enough in terms of the world building and stuff to exist outside of the hook of just the Hunger Games. And then it's like, well, we did the original movies where 2 of them were just doing the Hunger Games, and then people didn't really like the ones that weren't the Hunger Games as much. So now we're going to do a prequel where we're just doing the Hunger Games again.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not excited enough to where I'm going to go buy the book. To where I did go buy the book and read it. But I'm kind of excited to go see it at the movie theater.
We get to hang out with all our favorite characters again, such as Snow as young hot version and no one else.
And Caesar's dad?
Maybe, yeah.
What was his name? Something Flicka?
Lucky Flickerman.
Lucky Flickerman.
Yeah, that sounds like a cigarette brand.
And Peter Dinklage is playing someone called Hardbottom or something. Highbottom.
Which sounds like a Game of Thrones name.
Yeah.
And he looks a lot like Tyrion Lannister in his outfit in the trailer.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I'm less so. But I just don't really like prequels full stop, to be honest.
Well,
I was scarred by the Star Wars prequels. And The Hobbit. Oh.
But The Hobbit isn't... The book is good.
Yeah.
So then that's fine.
The book wasn't a prequel.
Yeah, well, exactly. So that's not... That doesn't count.
But the movies are prequels to Lord of the Rings, because they introduced, like, Legolas and stuff into it.
Yeah. Well, the movies aren't very good, but...
The movies are terrible. They're awful.
No, it has one good song. When the dwarves sing that cool song about the mountain, the Misty Mountain.
Yeah, and it's got that Ed Sheeran song. Ooh-wee.
Another one about Misty Mountains.
Yep. Yes. And Martin Freeman's well cast as a Bilbo.
He's good.
Yeah. And I like those behind the scenes videos of Benedict Cumberbatch pretending to be a dragon mocap. So
and it's got the guy from Outlander, the bald guy.
Graham McTavish.
Yeah. Scotland represent.
Yeah. I think a lot of the dwarvish
actors are you should love it.
I'm not so tribal.
Why are all the dwarves Scottish?
I don't know, like dwarves having Scottish accents is just a thing that
really
seems to sort of transcend media. It's just like a thing. I don't know why.
But then there's Hagrid, who's kind of the opposite.
Yeah, but he is kind of like a tall dwarf in some ways. In his
just because he's
demeanor,
got like a beard and...
Yeah, if only he was more hungry for gold.
He's definitely not hungry for gold. No. Just hungry for dragons.
Yeah, that makes him sound like he's devouring them.
That's true. Yeah. Anyway.
Other prequels that were bad. Fantastic Beasts. That can be our engagement question for this week. Are there any prequels which are either good or better? No, in fact, the first one is, are they better than the original thing? And then if we can't think of any, it's, are they even good at all? Are there any prequels that are good?
The Star Wars prequels?
No. And if anyone says Revenge of the Sith is their favourite Star Wars movie, you can stop. We're poles apart on that.
I'm going to try to find one prequel, and in our next episode, I'll tell you what it is.
As the discussion for the 4 Hunger Games movies has gone on long enough, we're feeling too tired to do the segment Better as a Musical or Why Isn't This a Musical? And instead
we don't have any songs.
There's...
Here comes Katniss.
That's the go-to for every musical.
Here comes Katniss with her
bow and arrow.
Bow and arrow.
Peeta makes a bread.
He gives it to Katniss.
His favorite color.
He throws her some stale bread, and that's supposed to make him really nice.
Ba-dum-bum-bum.
Maybe Peeta's the real bad guy.
Okay, well, Sarah's very well segued into our new segment, which we're trialing. We'll do both in the future, or one or the other. Who knows? It's called Who's the Real Bad Guy? Or Baddie, really.
Baddie.
To be gender neutral.
So, Ewan, who do you think the real baddie of the Hunger Games is?
So my thoughts on this are... You have two obvious bad guys, I suppose.
Big baddie. Big baddie. Who's the biggest, baddiest character? The most evilest.
So you would think it might be, you would say Snow, but Snow and the existence of the Hunger Games predates Snow being present or anything, as much as this grand conniving.
And in this new prequel, I feel like Snow's going to be more of a likable character.
Yeah,
that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah, if they try and turn him into like an anti-hero or even a hero, I'm going to be completely disengaged. But let's see your best effort on that, filmmakers. So I think really the big baddie has to be hunger.
That's not a character.
It's the Hunger Games. That's what they're all fighting, is their own hunger.
Why is it the Hunger Games?
Well, I think in the book there's a bit more of a sense that like the characters are like starving and stuff, like in the games.
Well, we know that Katniss is starving, like because her dad dies in the mines, right?
Yeah. A lot of the districts, I don't think they have that much food to begin with. Like,
oh, and but then she starts hunting. That's why she hunts.
Yeah.
Right.
But maybe in the games, like, I suppose it's the movies, there's more of Katniss's like inner monologue where she's like, man, haven't had any food for a while. You really go for a Big Mac.
Peeta, bake me some bread.
Yeah.
Come on.
Where's your baking skills now, Peeta?
All right, hunger.
Yeah. Or the class system, but we could go over that for probably almost every single. Yeah.
See, I think the real bad guy is whoever created the Hunger Games.
Tyrion Lannister.
Yeah, isn't he?
Yeah.
What's it? Longbottom.
High
Bottom.
Yeah.
In the prequels, High Bottom. He's the real bad guy, I think. If he created the Hunger Games.
Or the people who voted for the Hunger Games.
Who voted for it?
Out of the capital people. There must have been other people in charge.
No, just High Bottom.
He was just like, look, we're doing the Hunger Games. And everyone was like, what's that? And he's like, kids kill each other.
I'm in.
Yeah, and they're all like, yeah. That sounds great.
Or, I mean, maybe
Gale.
Maybe Gale, maybe Coin.
Yeah, they're two sides of the same coin.
Yeah. Gale, I feel like his morals just go out the window in Mockingjay.
Yeah, he gets lost in the sauce.
Lost in the sauce of war.
Yeah.
But really, it's probably Snow.
Yeah, I think the sort of point of this story is to try and basically say that Coin is as bad as Snow.
Yeah.
As much as we maybe don't see her do acts to the same level, she at least would be, I guess, pushed into the same corners, etc., would act in the same way, which we would say is villainous. So
right, and she's got that hunger for power.
Yeah.
Because that's why she wants to kill Katniss, right? Because she doesn't want Katniss to...
Well, I think she doesn't...
Or she doesn't trust her.
Yeah, she wants to be able to control Katniss, and she doesn't feel like she can. I think once she, loses faith or gives up on the fact that she can control her, she's like, kill her.
But she wanted to do the Hunger Games, too. Yeah, she's just... Her and Snow... No. Big baddies. No, Tyrion Lannister.
Okay.
What's his name? I already forgot. High Bottom. High Bottom.
So Sarah's vote is a character absent from the films we just were discussing.
Yep.
And my vote is for, what did I say? Hunger.
Yep. Not even
Taken
a
from
person.
There we go.
I'm hungry now.
For some games?
No, just for cookies.
Oh.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Popcorn and Cumin. We are now on Instagram. You can find and follow us at Popcorn and Cumin. That's "and" spelled out rather than an ampersand. Again, that is Popcorn and Cumin. We'll be sharing some spicy updates and fun little videos and stuff, so check it out. And if you like the show, tell your friends. Until next time, don't forget to have your daily bowl of popcorn.